When We Were Young and Unafraid is a play written by Treem, and it takes place in 1972 on a little island off the coast of Washington State. It's a B&B that is run by Agnes and help from her teenage daughter Penny, but it's also a secret sanctuary for abused women who are seeking refuge. So into the picture comes Marianne, who's in her mid-20s, and she's seeking refuge from an abusive husband. We also have a character named Hannah, who's in her 30s, and she is looking for a community of feminists who live nearby. There's a young man, Paul, who's also in his 30s, who has moved from San Francisco looking for a new life. Now, the times that the play is set in were very turbulent times, you know, the early 70s, late 60s. So there was just a lot of change going on. There was change in music, there was change in education, there was change in women's roles. We were coming out of the 50s, which had very specific boxes that women were in, housewives, and they didn't work outside of the home. And a lot of that started changing in the late 60s, early 70s. A lot of things about politics were changing. A lot of things about just society at large were changing. We had young men coming back from Vietnam with trauma that affected marriages and affected relationships. So all of these changes are kind of condensed into the play and represented in part by each of the characters. And the title of the play, When We Were Young and Unafraid, works on a couple of different levels. I believe it's young in the sense of innocence and a loss of some of that innocence. And yes, there is fear experienced by the characters in the play. There's a fear of not having the life that you're used to having. There's a fear of, well, physical safety. And there's a fear of loss with Agnes and her daughter, who is wanting to leave the island and go to college. There's a fear of growing older. There's a fear of losing the rights that we fought hard to gain. And a lot of what we see in the play is so relevant today. Audiences are going to see a lot of similarities from what we were experiencing at that time in the early 70s to what we're experiencing still today. I would say at the heart of the play, it is about women helping women. It's also about finding community. It's about solidarity. It's about courage. There's definitely a lot of hope in the play. There's also humor in the play. She's done a lovely job of writing very succinct dialogue, but it's also got a lot of humor in it as well, because, you know, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. And that is very true in this story as well. The cast is amazing. It's a 5-character play, and we have 5 in the main cast, and we also have 5 understudies. So that's 10 people in rehearsals every night. Of those 10 people, I think it's really cool that only 3 have appeared with Reno Little Theater before, so we have a lot of new faces in the cast. And it's also exciting that we have 2 actors who have come up through the ranks of our education program and our Broadway Our Way series and our teen series to now being in a main stage adult production, and I think that's really exciting. Every night in rehearsals, I am brought to goosebumps and to tears by the talent of these people and the caliber of their performances and their honesty, their willingness to go with suggestions. And it's also been a really collaborative process, which has been fantastic. There have been some very funny things that happen in rehearsal, but unfortunately I can't tell you about them because you'd have to bleep some of it. It has a feeling of comfort. It has a feeling of closeness and intimacy, of being well worn. There's also an aspect of isolation from it and of being a little bit cut off. And so you'll see that in the set, which is going to be pretty mind-blowing. But there's also, like I say, that level of comfort and familiarity and being safe. I also was able to do the costuming for the show, so we're going to have some fun touches from the late 60s, early 70s, and I haven't quite figured out all the musical choices yet, but there will be echoes, obviously, from that same time frame. I hope that when people leave from seeing the play, that they leave with a sense of maybe like a call to action, to make a commitment to helping women in our community, to support them in the areas that they're not getting support. There are women in our community who have a lot of needs that aren't being met in this country, well, globally. We've fought long and hard to get equal protection under the law, which we still don't have. And abortion was not legal at the time of this play. And I hope that audience members leave wanting to ensure that the erosion of our rights does not continue. I hope they leave with a belief that things will be better, and that they leave with a sense of hope.